Hi guys, welcome to this video. I'm Prajwal from Indie Crypto, and inside this video we're discussing about Bitcoin futures, which is the most talked about topic at the moment because there has been a lot of talks and the price is also affected by it in a little way. So we have Vikram today with us. Hi Vikram.
Hi Prajwal.
And Vikram is, I think, the best person to go ahead and help us in understanding Bitcoin futures better. Okay, Vikram. So, what is Bitcoin futures, first of all?
Hi everyone. To start with, what is Bitcoin futures? Basically, if I may explain in the layman terms, there are two big futures trading companies that's set up in Chicago. One of them is CBOE, Chicago Board Options Exchange. Now, they started on the 12th, which is yesterday, and the next one, which is planned to start on the 18th, is CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange Group. So what are these two guys are trying to do? In layman terms, like I was going to explain, they're nothing but they're setting up a new way of gambling tool. Okay, so when you go to Vegas or Macau, what do we see? We see a lot of different types of how you gamble, and one of them is roulette, which is very easy for people to understand. You just bet on a number or a color, and then you get that, you won it. But then there are other things like 21 and the other kind of games that's there, which is very hard for you to understand. So this is a little bit of similar to that. They're just a level of a different type of trading or gambling for people. In Bitcoin futures, you set a price for a futures date. You predict a price, and if you are right, you make money. If you're not right, you lose money. Do the exchanges make money out of you? Yes, of course. These CBOE and CME will definitely make up to 10% out of you. You win or you lose, they will still make their money. This is similar to how it's previously done. Previously, it was done with gold and any kind of commodities, oil, pork bellies. All these were part of these, futures trading. In this, where you set a price, then the price is derived from another exchange or a repeated place where they cross-check with the price. If you have predicted the price right, and you win. If you not predicted the price right, you lose. That's the kind of a thing. The only thing that you would get in this futures platform is the minimum is one Bitcoin that they say it, because one Bitcoin price is very high. They would allow you to trade with just 40%, around 40% of the value of Bitcoin. You can invest, and then you can start with your futures trading.
So this Bitcoin future is actually done in US, right? In Chicago. So will it affect the Indians in any way? What effect does it have in India on Bitcoin?
I would say it's very little. Or nothing, because India as a whole has its own demand and supply of Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin is completely different to the global markets. So if this is particularly in the US only, only the US players are get to trade in the futures market. So the little effective price differences that's going to happen, it's only mostly in the US. Very little that will be there as a trickle down effect to other countries.
Okay, so when we mean Bitcoin futures, are actual Bitcoins are traded on futures, or how is it?
That's a good one, actually. That's something that people should know, that actual Bitcoins are not traded on the futures. Futures is just predicting of Bitcoin price in another place. You really don't trade Bitcoins on the futures. You're just putting in your money with your dollars. You deposit dollars and you predicting the price of Bitcoins. Because Bitcoin has gone mainstream, or they're trying to put it on mainstream from this, both are like hand and glove together. In a way, this will just build another new market, because Bitcoins are big today.
Okay, and in this case, will the price of Bitcoin be affected? Because just because the news of futures came out, there has been some speculation that has caused the price hike in Bitcoin. So do you think the Bitcoin futures is going to affect the price of Bitcoin?
A little bit, of course. To start with, we had a lot of speculation because these guys are, incorporating Bitcoin on their trading platform, exchange platform. A lot of speculation happened, and the price shot up. Really, once they start using it, I'm not too sure if the Bitcoin price will vary much, because like we previously answered in the question, that real Bitcoins are not used here. What it is trying to do is just bringing it to the mainstream, and a lot of players, especially on this futures market, what we have is big investors from global banking system like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan Chase. These are big, huge investors and hedging, money hedging people. So these guys will come into play because of them now being, shown what is Bitcoin is. They might be interested in buying in Bitcoin for an asset class to hold as an asset or store of value, because they are now hearing and trading over this Bitcoin price through the futures. They might in future be interested in buying some Bitcoin as an asset holding. For that reason, there might be a slight price effect that will happen, which is it's all going to be a good thing for Bitcoin anyway.
Okay, and how are the prices determined in futures? If Bitcoin itself is not traded here, how are the prices of this futures determined then?
That's a very good question, Prajwal. Actually, how that happens is one of them is CBOE. CBOE, which just started, futures now. What they do is they are now affiliated with this exchange called Gemini. Gemini Exchange is the founders of Gemini Exchange are your Winklevoss twins. They're the ones who won the case against Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and took their share of money because they own the idea of Facebook. When they made their millions about 4 years ago, most of their money that they won against Facebook, they invested in Bitcoin. They're the first ever billionaires, Bitcoin billionaires, mind you. So their exchange is going to give the price to the futures. So your CBOE will take the price from Gemini, and there is a time and date set for every time. It's in the future. So in the future, at that particular time, whatever the price that will be running on Gemini, Gemini has actually built metrics for them, because of course they already have a graph which shows how the trading is happening on Gemini. But they were specially designed one more for CBOE, where this price will be locked at the particular time where CBOE will pick up that, and that will be the futures price. If somebody predicted the price right, they win. If there was somebody short the price, they're going to lose. That's how it is done. Well, just to let you know, if CBOE is following Gemini, CME, which is Chicago Mercantile Exchange, is going to use a collaboration of 4 exchanges. That is Bitstamp, GDAX, Kraken, and 8bit. So all these prices will be combined, and there will be an average price drawn out, and that's going to be used by this futures exchange. Well, that's going to start on the 18th December. That's in future.
Okay, and we have seen a lot of forks coming up in Bitcoin, especially this year. We had Bitcoin Cash, we had Bitcoin Gold, and now December alone, I made a previous video where there's 7 Bitcoin forks coming in. So how do you think these forks are going to affect the price of the Bitcoin futures?
Well, this is something new, completely new, because before anything that was traded on futures, like your gold, your commodities, and your other things, never had something like forks where it would split and it'll have 2 of its own. The price almost goes double or more in the time of forks and when the forks are approaching. So those things are, I think, we have to wait and watch and see how it will affect. I would say the price of Bitcoin will definitely go up. Because the price goes up, the speculation and the interest in people goes up. So I would say it'll bring in more players on the future market.
So just like how forks is increasing the Bitcoin's market cap, I think the folks are going to do the same with the Bitcoin futures as well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the futures, trading will be more.
Okay. Now we mentioned about forks. Another important thing about Bitcoin is the volatility. So what do you think about the volatility? How the Bitcoin volatility is going to affect the Bitcoin futures?
To start with, volatility is the one which helps people gamble and trade. That means if there is no fluctuation in any commodity or resource like this, there won't be any trading, because you're trying to predict something in the future. There has to be some volatility. Volatility will definitely help. Right now it's very volatile. The, the players might be taken back by this, but eventually I guess it's a new thing, and people will get used to it and understand the volatility, and it will eventually help the futures market to to trade, exchange, and come out with winners and losers.
Okay. On the other side, do you think the Bitcoin futures will reduce the volatility of Bitcoin?
I think that is right. You've got a good follow-up question on this, Prajwal. It will reduce. What happens is the volatility is higher when you have just buyers come in, and the interest is suddenly spiking up with a small niche. When the adoption is wide like this, when this futures market players are going to come in, the volatility eventually will reduce. I believe in that. I guess one of those things that I've seen from the past. So I'm hoping that that will help in more adoption of Bitcoin, because the volatility would have reduced.
Okay. And what do you think about other futures like Ethereum futures or Litecoin futures? Do you think those things are also going to follow Bitcoin and come up in the near future?
Definitely. Bitcoin is paving a path to all these cryptocurrencies. The other cryptocurrencies, what you mentioned, like Ethereum and Litecoin, are just following exactly how Bitcoin was trying to help in the community, or fix those real issues of the economic system in this world. If Bitcoin is used in a futures market, I think soon these other cryptos will also follow.
Okay. So that's great, Vikram. Thank you very much for all that information. So I think we have got some more clarity on Bitcoin futures now, and let's wait and see how it's going to play a role in the entire cryptocurrency market. So just one more question I wanted to ask is, do you think because of this Bitcoin futures there will be more adoption, and more governments or more organizations are going to look into Bitcoin in a different perspective right now?
Definitely, I think the more use of Bitcoin or the Bitcoin futures, like the way they plan to do, it's always going to help in adoption, and it'll eventually help in regulation, understanding. The governments want to come in and then set a path for the cryptocurrencies. That's like help in the mainstream adoption of Bitcoin.
Okay, and one more thing is, what do you think about a lot of people are speaking about the Wall Street manipulation that's going to go into the Bitcoin futures now that they are into it. People like JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, they might also get involved now that the Bitcoin is in the futures. So what do you think about that?
You're very right. I think that's one of the points that we should address. Something like a futures market was used in the past to manipulate pricing of a lot of things, including gold for that matter, and a lot of global commodities. With Bitcoin also, they will try and do that. The idea of futures to be set in New York is one of the things was to manipulate the price, or is to manipulate the price. But the beauty of Bitcoin is the more you try and fiddle with it, or more you try and control it, or more you try and manipulate it, the better it gets with time. And being Bitcoin, the internet of money, it's going to eventually reduce this kind of manipulation which was there earlier.
Because it's more transparent. People can get the data and information more readily available about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies on the internet.
That's right. You answered my question. It's because it's more freely available and transparent, that those things are going to be reduced.
Okay, that's good, Vikram. So thank you once again for giving us a lot of information about Bitcoin futures. So if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and leave it in the comment section below, and we'll definitely look forward for your questions and answer them. And if you're somebody new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you've already subscribed, go and hit the bell button so that you get notified whenever we post new videos. So that's it in this video, guys. Once again, thank you very much, Vikram.
Thank you very much, Prajwal. It was great again. Loved indie crypto and its information that's going around. It's always good for the public, and we would like people to understand more and more real news about what's happening with the crypto world.
Thank you very much, Vikram. So thank you, guys, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.